was exploding, and the gas in the tires of the vehicle. It was a big fire.
Flames engulf tow trucks in a Brampton neighborhood. Police investigate suspicious fires overnight, reigniting fears of violence in the towing industry. Good afternoon. It was a terrifying wake-up call for residents who heard sounds of explosions coming from their street in the middle of the night.
By day, the charred vehicles tell part of the story. At least 3 tow trucks believed to have been deliberately set on fire. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live from Buffridge Trail with the latest. Janice.
Hi, Michelle, Nathan. If you take a look behind us here, you'll actually see the burnt-out front engine of a white pickup truck. A man is actually just walking there right now, and his shirt actually says Limitless Towing, which is the actual tow truck company where the tow trucks belong to. Beside it is another vehicle that was damaged by fire. And if you take a look at the ground here, you'll see the front hood of another tow truck that was set ablaze here overnight. And now we're going to show you a video of what actually happened during a series of tow truck fires here in Brampton. Peel Regional Police say they are investigating 3 separate vehicle fires at 2 addresses in this residential area. We're live now on Buffridge Trail and Cresthaven Road near here, Ontario and Wanless, where neighbors say they heard a series of explosions just before 1 a.m. When they looked outside, they saw 2 tow trucks, both from Limitless Towing, that were in flames. One of the burning trucks was in the driveway, the other parked on the street. Around the same time, another fire, this one on Venetian Terrace and Bristdale Drive, where another Limitless Towing vehicle was discovered ablaze. This second location less than 10 minutes away by car. Peel Regional Police say their Criminal Investigative Bureau is investigating and has deemed these incidents suspicious. Here's what neighbors have to say about what happened.
100% concerning. I mean, you're real close to home. We always hear about crime around our neighborhood, and I mean, this is real close to our house right here. So a little bit concerning and scared as well at the same time. So
this street is a pleasant street. There are good people on this street, all within this neighborhood, and it certainly is scary because they say it happened at 1 in the morning. I got home from work. It was about 11:30, quarter to 12. Sometimes I go for a walk because I can't sleep, and you could be right in this.
Now, neighbors say they heard a series of popping noises, which turned out to be explosions, so they were quite frightened. No one was injured in these blazes. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. Well, it's another big day at Queen's Park. The speech from the throne will be delivered this afternoon, outlining the Ford government's priorities in the session ahead.
But there's an ominous cloud hanging over the province today, with reports another car company is considering moving production out of Canada. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris joins us live with the details. Siobhan.
Well, this is all based on a report out of Japan. A newspaper there is saying that Honda is considering shifting 90% of production to serve the U.S. market to the United States in response to auto tariffs. This is, of course, creating a lot of anxiety here in Ontario. Honda's plants in Alliston, just outside of Barrie, they employ 4,200 people. This morning, the Premier says that he spoke with the head of Honda Canada, who shared that the reports are not accurate. But Doug Ford didn't say exactly what's next for the automaker. He's leaving it to the company to clarify that. The industry minister for Canada says Honda has confirmed to her that no decisions affecting production in Canada have been made. Nothing like what's being reported is being considered. She is meeting with company executives later today. It was a year ago this week the feds and province contributed $5 billion to Honda's $15 billion investment into building an EV manufacturing chain in the province.
We're going to keep Honda here, and I'll do everything I can to protect the people and their jobs. And that's what this throne speech is all about today, is making sure that we protect people's jobs, protect communities and businesses right across the province. We have to streamline processes to make sure we're more competitive around the world, attract new companies here. And that's exactly what our throne speech is and the mandate the people gave me after the election.
Now, staying with the business here at Queen's Park, the government will introduce its first piece of legislation tomorrow morning. That's aimed at breaking down interprovincial trade barriers. The Premier of Nova Scotia will be on hand to help Doug Ford with that effort, really highlighting how important he thinks it is to have collaboration right across the country on this. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Meanwhile, the federal government has announced help for businesses hurt by the American tariffs. A temporary 6-month relief for products imported from the U.S. will apply on goods used in Canada, make that Canadian manufacturing, processing, and food and beverage packaging. The exemption will also apply to goods used to support public health, healthcare, public safety, and national security objectives.
And still to come, the latest promises and platforms announced on the federal election campaign trail, leaders gearing up for the debates this week. We'll have a live report from Ottawa later in the newscast.
And we have more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. Some clouds today, but comfortable. A jacket, probably a good idea. A warm-up is on the way, but not before tomorrow when things will cool down quite a bit. Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Jess.
Hey, we've seen some really heavy rain pop up in the last half hour or so. These bursts of showers, thanks to a system making its way through northern Ontario, but impacting us here in the GTA. This will kind of carry on and off for a good portion of the afternoon, so it's not a washout by any means, but a good idea to keep that umbrella handy. And it is windy out there. We're looking at winds sustained out of the west at just under 40 kilometers an hour, but those gusts close to 50. And that is going to be the case throughout the entire day before they become northwesterly, not letting up at all, but making it significantly cooler heading into the day tomorrow. It's still relatively mild. We're at 6 through Windsor, 10 in Hamilton, the same in Niagara, just 9 through Ottawa. And as we head into the afternoon, we're kind of hovering for the most part around 6 degrees. We've already reached our high for today a little bit earlier on this morning. We are at 9 through the islands, the same through Pearson. Again, we'll go through waves of seeing sunshine and then kind of pockets of heavy showers. And that's how we kind of get through our afternoon. Temperature-wise, it's not the worst, but we are still sitting a little below seasonal. And as Nathan mentioned, it gets even cooler into the day tomorrow before finally a rebound. More on your full forecast coming up right now. It's back to Michelle.
Thank you, Jess. A man in his 20s has life-threatening injuries after a shooting in Etobicoke. Police believe the incident happened in the area of Martin Grove Road and John Garland Boulevard around 8:30 last night. They say the victim made his own way to hospital, and they're still trying to determine the details surrounding just what happened. Police are asking anyone with information to come forward. Meantime, a pedestrian was injured after a collision between two vehicles in Etobicoke. This happened around 5:30 p.m. yesterday. Two cars collided at Kipling and Horner Avenue, striking a pedestrian. The pedestrian, a 42-year-old man, was taken to hospital, and his injuries are now described as life-threatening. The driver of one of the vehicles was also taken to hospital with minor injuries. The investigation into the cause of the crash continues.
To an animal cruelty investigation in Mississauga, and a warning, the details are disturbing. Peel police have arrested a man accused of killing and mutilating multiple dogs. Police say the animals were found near Dundas and Mavis between December and March. In each incident, a member of the public discovered the remains of a puppy that had either been mutilated or, in one case, was found dead. Investigators say the animals were all found in parks or green spaces and were all between 8 and 10 weeks old. Police say the injuries to the dogs was not consistent with injuries caused by other animals, and that's why they began their investigation.
At this point, our investigators are appealing to anyone who may have sold young puppies online to individuals identify themselves as either Joey or John, especially to Kijiji if they've sold any young puppies in the past months, to please come forward and speak to our investigators.
On Friday, police charged 43-year-old John Wang of Mississauga. He's now facing 12 counts related to animal cruelty. Investigators believe there are more puppies out there and believe at least 8 dogs were involved and only 4 were found, including the one that was dead. Police say the other 3 are receiving medical care and are recovering. They want to speak with anyone who sold puppies online to a buyer advertised as Joey. Anybody with information is asked to contact police.
The search continues for a 22-year-old Ontario man who vanished in Quebec.
Liam Toman was last seen in Mont-Tremblant 2.5 months ago. As CTV's Denise Roberts reports, his family is appealing for help.
22-year-old Liam Toman's name and face is all over Tremblant Village. He's been missing for more than 70 days, and his parents have made several trips from Ontario to keep the search alive.
No, someone knows something. Nobody just vanishes.
Liam was on a weekend ski trip with friends. He left a bar in the village on February 2nd at 3 a.m. and never made it back to his hotel. He mistakenly sent a text to his father instead of a friend at 3:15 a.m.
And it said, "Meet me outside." Now, you know, I didn't make anything of that until the next morning. I saw it and I was like, well, what's this? And then, you know, we text during the day and no response.
That wasn't like him. And all three immediately contacted the police and made their way to Mont-Tremblant.
Everything went through our minds. Kathleen, we spent 6 hours in the car, very quiet, and then talking about every possibility. And
for the next 6 days, more than 100 SQ officers searched the area on ground and from the sky.
And also the municipality did remove some snowbanks in certain areas just to make sure that we didn't miss something, but unfortunately, no other evidence was found.
On March 22nd, Liam's wallet was found, and the spring melt should unveil more clues about what happened.
We're going to evaluate the situation, and we won't hesitate to resume any searches.
Liam is 5'9", weighing 132 pounds with light brown hair and blue-gray eyes. The family has released photos of what he was wearing the night he disappeared.
we're working and keeping focused on being as positive as possible.
The family has set up a website with more information, and they're asking anyone who was in Mont-Tremblant on February 2nd to check their cameras to see if there's any footage that could help explain Liam's disappearance. Anyone with information is asked to call the SQ or Crime Stoppers. Denise Roberts, CTV News.
As cyclists pump their tires and prepare for the season, police are warning them to be alert.
Bike thefts continue to be a persistent problem, and it's why steps can be taken not during but after a ride. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth explains.
Riding a bike remains a popular mode of transportation across Canada.
There are more bike lanes, the population is younger, there are more people riding, and so, bikes are something that's happening.
Bike theft is also climbing. Thieves appear to be taking advantage of what police call a crime of opportunity.
With the growing city, people are using their bike as their main mode of transportation now. Constantly seeing people on their bikes, even during the winter time.
Toronto is leading all Canadian cities with almost 3,000 stolen bikes reported. In Halifax, the numbers are much lower, but they almost doubled in 1 year. According to police, it's causing a major inconvenience, and they're urging people to be on the alert for possible theft.
It is their mode of transportation, not just for activities on the weekend, but to and from work.
Police also say bike owners should have pictures and the serial number of their bike on hand at all times. They suggest logging that information with a bike registry.
They can register their bike on the 529 garage program, which will assist us in getting their bike back to them.
The owner of this shop has heard reports of a recent jump in stolen bikes.
Theft is up for a lot of different stuff.
Andrew Feenstra tells his customers when they make a purchase, protect their investment.
Get a proper lock, one that's hard to break and things like that, and then lock it up in a good spot, well lit, lots of people moving around.
Feenstra says it's best to store bikes locked indoors to avoid theft. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
We turn now to the federal election campaign. The main party leaders are in the Montreal area today, ahead of 2 televised debates in the city this week.
But for now, the campaigning continues. This morning, Liberal leader Mark Carney announced a plan to create a new training benefit for mid-career workers.
My government will launch a new sector-specific mid-career training and upskilling benefit in priority sectors: manufacturing, construction, tech, and artificial intelligence. This approach will support Canadians in the middle of their careers who need access to skills training within established areas of critical need for our economy.
Carney says the benefit would provide up to $15,000 per person. He says a Liberal government would work with employers to support retention and upskilling within their companies. Meanwhile, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre announced a plan this morning to protect seniors from scammers.
We've all seen them. The suspicious text messages and robocalls. Sometimes they're easy to spot, but not always. But with AI and other technologies, the scams are more sophisticated and persuasive. Anyone can be taken in, and successful scams can drain savings from within minutes. A lifetime of hard work can be robbed from the most wonderful people. These scams are a source of real anxiety for seniors who may worry that technological development means they can't trust anything is real anymore.
Poilievre says a Conservative government would pass the Stop Scamming Seniors Act. It would include mandatory jail sentences for fraud convictions, stronger flagging of suspicious activity, and a 24-hour delay on high-risk transactions in seniors' accounts. Telecom companies and banks would also be required to use tools to stop scams in real time and not after the fact. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is also in Montreal, promising to bring back the proposed increase to the capital gains tax the Liberals introduced and then scrapped before the election.
The way capital gains works right now is if you are working hard, you're a nurse, a teacher, an electrician, a plumber, you work hard, your entire salary is taxable. But if you sit at home and sell shares, only half of the money you make is taxable. So if you're sitting at home and selling shares and make $200,000 a year, only $100,000 of that is taxable. The other is tax-free. That's unfair. That's inherently unfair.
Singh says the tax change would help to raise $19 billion in federal revenue that the New Democrats would use to fund pharmacare, a grocery price cap, bring in national rent control, and build homes. For more on the campaign trail, we're joined by CTV's Colton Prale in Ottawa. Colton, great to have you with us. Looking at the latest polling numbers, are we seeing any trends at this stage?
Things have been fairly steady, Michelle. We're seeing a 1-point drop for the Liberals, so they still have a 6-point lead over the Conservatives. 1-point drop, 1-point change. We actually saw a Conservative increase and a Liberal increase, but net result, we're talking about a 6-point gap. That's been pretty steady. 5 to 7 is the range that we've seen for the last week and a half, but there were some interesting numbers that I do want to highlight. The first one was in Nick Nanos's issues polling, which came out yesterday afternoon. There was a question around how Canadians view our country. 51% of them say Canada is doing well, but there are areas where it can improve. 33%, a third of respondents say Canada's great. 1% were unsure. Crucially here, 16% said Canada is broken. That number was really surprising to me to see it so low, because the idea that Canada is broken has been a core message of the Conservative campaign. We've seen a bit of tonal shift into Canada first, into a lost decade, but by and large, the idea that Canada is broken, there are internal factors that need to be fixed before considering external factors. That has been the Conservative campaign, and to see that number so low, I thought was really interesting, because it gives you a little bit of an insight into why we might be seeing this 6-point gap at the top between the Liberals and the Conservatives. But I also want to highlight the debates, because that is where everyone is paying attention. They're coming up. Tomorrow's the French debate. Thursday is the English debate. But all of the campaign focus has been there. If you look at the numbers of events that we've seen per day, for example, the last time the Liberals and Conservatives each did multiple events on the same day was Thursday of last week. Before that, it was happening basically every day. The Conservatives haven't had more than one event per day since Friday of last week. The Liberals are starting to pick theirs up after a quiet weekend, but across the board, we are seeing parties really dial in on these debates, because if anything is going to shift these polls, it's likely to be what happens on Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, I want to talk about just how pivotal are these debates. I mean, we're getting closer, just a matter of weeks now, till Canadians vote, and actually advanced voting starts this weekend. So to what extent, how pivotal are these debates? What are the parties thinking about that?
I think you're seeing how seriously they're taking them, obviously, in the way that we've seen that slowdown. But also, if you look at this entire campaign, it's a 5-week campaign. It's very, very short, and we haven't seen a ton of fluctuation in the polls over 3 weeks. We've seen an early Liberal lead that narrowed a little bit, but by and large, we have been looking at a Liberal majority for the most part of this campaign. So if you're the Conservative Party and you're looking ahead over the next 2 weeks, where are potential stumbling blocks for the Liberal Party? This is the obvious one, right? If you can really do well in the debates, maybe that's something that can swing this election back into your favor. And so it makes sense that we'd be seeing a ton of focus being put there for this party. Same thing goes for the NDP, the Bloc Québécois, to a different degree, though, right? You've been struggling to get media attention, struggling to make this anything other than a 2-horse race. This is an equal opportunity airtime. This is somewhere where everyone is out of their controlled environment, talking about a variety of different topics. It's a new opportunity to get your message across, and it gives those parties the chance to get into the spotlight a little little bit when they've been struggling to do so for such a long time. For the Liberals, for Mark Carney, I think it's all about the man himself. This is his first political debate on the big stage. He's not surrounded by Liberal colleagues like he was in the leadership debate. His French obviously isn't up to the same level as Pierre Poilievre's and certainly not as Yves-François Blanchette's. How does he handle tomorrow, and how does he handle the English debate as well? For them, this might be about not losing as much as it is about winning, because if you can be steady through this, for the most part, you've shown an ability to weather this campaign. This Wednesday, Thursday, I think this is really make or break for a lot of these parties, because after that, there's only about 8 days before less than 8 days before we're looking at voters heading to the polls. It is a very, very tight timeline.
What's your sense, Colton? Have most Canadians made up their mind, or are a lot of people still deciding at this stage?
Most of the polling shows that most Canadians have made up their mind. About 80% of them have decided between the Liberals or Conservatives. Obviously, though, that can still change. You know, you can make up your mind in advance, and then something major happens, and it refocuses or forces you to reconsider. And we have seen really significant pitches come out in the last several days that make people potentially reconsider. Take, for example, Pierre Poilievre's promise yesterday to use the notwithstanding clause. He'd be the first Canadian federal leader to do so. That's the kind of promise that may make people think, not even just about the issue, but about the use of the clause itself. And so these are situations that can still come up over the course of the campaign that could cause people to reconsider. But at this point, for the most part, Canadians do have their minds decided, and that goes back to why I think Mark Carney, really, for him, it's about not losing. You know, if people have already decided to vote for him, it's about making sure that he doesn't change their mind at the debate. Same thing for Pierre Poilievre. He's going to be looking to convert those voters at the debate, and that's always a challenge when people are set in their ways.
Well, we will be watching CTV's Colton Prell. Great to prick your brain. Appreciate it. Reporting live from Ottawa.
Anytime.
Take care. And we have to let you know, CTV News has special coverage of the French language leaders debate on Wednesday. It will be followed by the English language debate on Thursday. CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Capellas, will be in Montreal for a special edition of Power Play beginning at 5 p.m. both days. CTV News Channel will also broadcast the English language debate.
The economy is also a big election issue, and today we learned Canadians got a break on inflation in March. The rate slowed to 2.3% last month. It's being attributed in part to falling gas prices and a slowdown in travel to the United States, which helped cool airfare costs. The tariff battle with the U.S. began in March, prompting some consumer backlash toward American travel and products in recent weeks.
It's a windy day as we get through our Tuesday, and we are hovering just below that seasonal mark. Enjoy, I guess, this little bit of warmth because we do lose it as we head into the day tomorrow. We're still watching for showers off and on throughout the day, so don't put that umbrella away just yet. And as we head into the afternoon, we'll sit around 6 degrees. That sunset time tonight, 8:01 p.m. So we're looking at those sunsets now a little bit later. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, including when the sunshine is set to return.
All right, turning to your weather forecast now, and it wasn't the worst start to the day so far. Not too cool. I mean, we could probably use a little more sun. What do you think?
Yeah, not the best, not the worst. I mean, it was comfortable enough to be walking around this morning, maybe a light jacket, not a lot of sunshine, but it's still not too bad, and it feels like things are going to get better. We're on the right track.
We're getting there. It's like that, I think I can, I think I can. We saw some bursts of showers kind of late morning, so after I'd already gotten into the station today, I'm like, that's the rain coming through. But we knew it was coming, and the good thing is it's not an all-day rain affair, so we do get some breaks here and there. And as mentioned, it is mild outside. It's just that wind. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. But not a bad start to the day. A little bit of, hazy sunshine out there making its way through the clouds. But as we head into the afternoon, we are contending with a little more cloud cover, a little more wind, and there is the potential of some lake effect snow through parts of southern Ontario. For us in the GTA, we're holding on to more with just the chance of rain and that wind sticking with us throughout the afternoon. We're at 9 degrees right now, 7 through Windsor, 10 in Ottawa, anywhere north of Sudbury, still holding on to that cooler air. That will make its way for us as our winds become northwesterly tonight and into the day tomorrow. For now, pretty consistent westerly winds sustained right around 39 kilometers an hour, but those gusts It is going to be a windy one from start to finish today, and that doesn't change into the day tomorrow. It's just a colder wind. As we head in towards the midpoint of our afternoon, we will drop down to about 6. We've already reached our high for today pretty early on, right around 10 degrees. We will sit at 6 for the majority of our afternoon as we watch for the showers on and off throughout kind of the GTA. Into this evening, we'll sit at 1. We should be at 3, so we're not far off that mark. And the same is really true for almost everybody. We're hovering near seasonal, but it's just going to be so much cooler out there thanks to the wind. This is a pretty widespread system as it makes its way out of Ontario, kind of settling into Quebec. But as it sits behind us, that trough is going to bring that chance of some messy weather throughout the rest of our day today and into the start of the day tomorrow. But we're watching for high pressure. It is coming. That means sunshine. It is coming. We just have to get through today and tomorrow first. Through the rest of our afternoon, again, we're looking at pockets of showers across southern Ontario, so not everybody getting rain all the time. As we make our way through this midpoint of our day, through Hamilton, Niagara, and then east of the GTA out through Oshawa and up to Peterborough. For our friends along those eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay, all the way out to Waterloo region, they're looking at some light lake effect snow. I know we're all kind of over the snow, but we're still dealing with it for at least a few more days. Into the afternoon, school pickup time, relatively dry in the GTA, still the chance of some scattered showers. But for the most part, by the time we head into the early part of our evening, we're done with the rain. We step into the start of the day tomorrow. We don't get that brilliant sunshine, but at least it's dry out there. But we are contending with a really cool and very breezy northwesterly wind with gusts between 50 and 60 kilometers an hour. So factor that in. I know maybe we've put the parkas away. We don't want to put them on again, but a layer or two, probably a good idea throughout your Wednesday. As we head into the afternoon, though, we'll see some late day clearing. And because the sunset now is after 8 p.m., even if it's late day sun, it still counts. And we'll have a little bit before the sun sets just after 8 p.m. Finally, the sunshine returns as we head in towards Thursday. It feels like it has been forever and a day since we've seen the sun, but it does make a return and a beautiful kind of mark to the almost end to the week, depending on if you're off for the Easter weekend. As we step into the next couple of days, we will see a rebound finally with our temperatures. Again, we've already reached our daytime high for today of 10 degrees a little earlier on, so we're sitting comfortably around 6 throughout the afternoon. Heading into this evening, there is the slight chance as that system completely pushes out that there is a little bit of light flurry activity, nothing to accumulate. That carries into our Wednesday morning, and then we see just a little sunshine late day Wednesday. It's not warm sunshine, but we will take it. As we step in towards Thursday, back towards a much more seasonal point, sunshine, 12 degrees. We do see a little shower activity roll in for the Easter weekend. So if you're going to be hunting for Easter eggs, looking for the chocolate eggs, maybe do it inside as we head throughout your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But at least temperature-wise, it is mild. 16 for your high on Friday, dropping to a low of 14. No change overnight Friday into Saturday. So it's not sunny, but at least it's kind of warm out there. We do get a little bit of a break from all that active weather as we head into the afternoon on Saturday. This carries into Sunday. A sunny Sunday, no Sunday scaries when you have a forecast like that. And then as we step in towards Monday, we're looking at the chance of showers, but likely just some cloud cover. So we really are settling into, hard to believe, almost the end of April with a pretty nice spring forecast after a bit of a rocky start with all that snow. But overall, I will take it. We have a little sunshine peeking through, and those showers will hopefully help bloom some beautiful flowers into May. Nathan, Michelle, I'll send things back to you.
All right. Thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
There are calls today to make gun control a priority during the federal election campaign.
It comes from a coalition of community and advocacy groups speaking out today. And our Mike Walker joins us live with those details. Mike.
Well, Michelle and Nathan, well, a lot of the focus on this campaign has been on the trade war. Gun control advocates say this issue should be a top priority, and they are calling on all party leaders to commit to enforcing measures and taking further actions to prevent gun violence. Now, we just heard from a number of advocacy and community groups who acknowledge the progress that has been made on a number of federal policies on gun control, including the gun buyback program, as well as a ban on the sale and transfer and import of handguns. They are also calling for strengthened measures to further prevent guns that are smuggled across the border. The groups are not calling for any new laws, rather urging whoever forms the next Canadian government to prioritize enforcing the measures and laws already in place.
I think the laws that are on the table are as good as we're going to get. Politics is the art of the possible. What we need to do is make sure that they are implemented, properly resourced, and we proceed with the buyback program.
The security on the borders for the smuggling illegal guns is improved for sure, and we need more new technology or improvement for the smuggling guns on the borders, as it's most of the part of the illegal guns that have been used in the crime. But we have a really good progress on that, and it should be improved for sure more. And we also need to implement the buyback program immediately.
So far in the campaign trail, we've heard a number of different proposals to tackle this issue from the different party leaders. The gun control advocates we heard from just a short time ago tell us they are not endorsing one party over another. They say this is a nonpartisan issue. It's really about public safety, and they are encouraging all voters to raise this issue with their local candidates. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. Overseas visitors at the famed Notre Dame Cathedral marked 6 years since a devastating fire and celebrated its remarkable restoration.
It's very emotional, and it's wonderful that they were able to restore it.
The massive fire destroyed the famous roof and iconic spire and sent a cloud of smoke over the city's skyline. Now, the restored cathedral welcomes an average of 30,000 visitors a day. French President Emmanuel Macron was in attendance to honor those who helped with the restoration.
Still to come this noon hour, an anonymous apology from an American neighbor. The mysterious new ad campaign hoping to ease the trade war tensions.
An American who wants to remain anonymous is trying to send Canadians a sincere message from down south.
He doesn't like how we're being treated and hopes one tiny word often associated with Canadians will help repair a once solid friendship. CTV's Sinjin Alexander has the story.
Often hidden in plain sight, but there for everyone to see. Not a letter, but a short, succinct message made up of just a handful of words that sometimes gets lost as it's shuffled among the big brands. But when pointed out,
"Aww, that's so sweet."
Someone has paid a lot of money for this note. Someone who wants to be nameless. Someone who is an American and doesn't like how the U.S. has treated one of its greatest allies.
It says, "Dear Canada, we are so very, very, very sorry."
I thought how delightful that somebody is actually going to put their money where their mouth is and say how appalling all this is.
The author wants Canadians to know that many Americans are pained by the shots taken at our sovereignty, admitting this will not absolve the U.S. of responsibility. In fact, he feels it's not enough, it's inadequate, but says that does not mean an apology should not be offered.
I mean, it's very kind that someone has taken out a billboard, but it's very sad that it's come to that.
CTV News has been in contact with the writer, but he won't give us his name because he wants this to be seen as American friends reaching out to Canadians.
It's genuine. I think that's like he means it then, that he doesn't want anyone to know. He doesn't want like credit or anything, right?
There are plans for more billboards, we're told, not from a company or organization, but from one person. A personal effort to send a personal message that reflects the feelings of many Americans. Sinjin Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
Toronto's new Departure Festival and Conference has announced its comedy headliner with award-winning comedian Dave Chappelle hitting the stage. The 6-time Grammy winner and 5-time Emmy winner will headline the comedy portion of the festival, along with a host of Canadian comedians, including Ivan Decker and Ali Hassan at the Queen Elizabeth Theatre. Departure was formerly known as Canadian Music Week. The reinvented festival brings together the best in music, art, tech, and comedy. Departure runs from May 6th to 11th across multiple venues in the city.
The Harry Potter franchise will soon be seen on the small screen. Monday, HBO announced some of the cast for the upcoming TV series based on the boy wizard. John Lithgow will be Albus Dumbledore, and Janet McTeer will be Minerva McGonagall. Other actors include Nick Frost taking the role of Hagrid, while Papa Isidiou will play Severus Snape. Officials say the show will be the true adaptation of the Harry Potter series. It'll air on HBO, but no word on when it'll debut.
Still to come, some users of a popular tax software program have been reassessed and now owe the tax department thousands of dollars. Could a glitch in the software be to blame? Either way, Revenue Canada wants the money. Pat Foran has the story after the break.
Have you done your taxes yet? The deadline for most Canadians filing as individuals is April 30th, just over 2 weeks away.
Many people use tax software to complete their taxes, but questions are being raised about one popular brand after some users have been reassessed. CTV's Pat Foran reports.
We have 3 young children, so we input their childcare costs.
Jessica Medrano of Toronto has been using the popular tax software TurboTax for more than a decade. Her family recently had their taxes reassessed by the Canada Revenue Agency for the years 2021, 22, and 23. She was told she'd receive money for childcare expenses that she shouldn't have.
Very stressed out, to get all these notices with a lot. It's a significant amount that, we're being asked to pay back immediately.
The family has been told they owe more than $14,000. Medrano says she's careful doing her taxes, and that's when she noticed others complaining on Reddit, Facebook, and the TurboTax website, saying they had also been audited for the same mistake.
A number of families had received the exact same issue.
When preparing joint tax returns, some users claim there's a glitch that incorrectly calculates childcare expenses based on the income of only the lower earning spouse.
You just hit continue. The system unchecks one of the boxes.
I want TurboTax to take accountability for this error.
Andrea Avero of Bolton also had her family's taxes reassessed for the same reason. She must now pay back the CRA $10,000.
I'm angry that a program that I trusted to do my taxes to help us out got us into this mess. And $10,000 for my family is a lot of money.
CTV News reached out to TurboTax, and a spokesperson said it stands by its software and that tax information must be entered correctly.
There is nothing in our software that is a glitch, and there's nothing in there that would suggest that there's an error in terms of how we've calculated any of their refunds.
Some users feel they should be compensated as the software claims 100% accuracy.
They market their product as, taxes done right. It tells the user you can file with confidence.
Pat Foran, CTV News.
A new report on the GTA housing market shows home prices dipped in the first quarter of the year. The Royal LePage report shows the median price of a single detached home in the GTA was down 0.5% year over year to just over $1.4 million. In the city of Toronto, prices dipped nearly 1% to just under $1.7 million. Royal LePage President and CEO Phil Soper spoke to CP24 about how the housing crisis is impacting election platforms of the Liberals and Conservatives.
We have many more people looking for homes in general in Canada than we have homes to provide them. And both major parties are focused on bringing more homes to our big cities in particular, where affordability is strained.
The median price of a condo in the GTA decreased 4% to about $704,000, while the city of Toronto also saw a decrease of 3.9% to $686,000.
And prefab homes could go a long way to helping the province get closer to meeting its housing goals. That's according to a new report by the Ontario Real Estate Association. It says factory-built homes are a key part of the solution to the housing crisis, as they can be built cheaper and faster than traditional homes. The homes are built in a factory, often using pre-made 3D components, and assembled in their final location. OREA wants to see regulatory barriers removed to get the made-in-Ontario homes in place faster. To sports, the Leafs will try to make it 4 straight when they take on the Buffalo Sabres tonight.
Now back in, possible 2-on-1. Burns goes to a knee. Matthews sets it up. He'll get it right back and scores.
The Leafs need just 1 point from their final 2 games to clinch the Atlantic Division. Mitch Marner's just 1 point away from his first 100-point season of his career, while John Tavares is 2 goals away from his second 40-goal season. Puck drop tonight is just after 7. And Leaf Nation will once again pack Maple Leaf Square when the quest for the Stanley Cup begins later this week. Fans will have to download an app to secure a pass for the tailgate outside Scotiabank Arena. If the Leafs hold on to the division, they'll take on the Senators in the Battle of Ontario. The playoffs get underway Saturday.
First baseman, number 27, Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Just about everybody in the ballpark today knows the news. They're Vladdy that he's staying home. That Vladdy is staying home, and, he's been in the order, and he appreciates it.
Jays fans had plenty to cheer about as Vladimir Guerrero Jr. stepped to the plate for the first time since officially signing the historic deal with the club. However, they would have fewer reasons to cheer as the game went on. Toronto fell behind 8-0 earlier in the game, and they were not able to stage a late comeback, dropping the game 8-4. The two teams meet again tonight.
Meanwhile, every player across baseball will be wearing number 42 today to mark Jackie Robinson Day. Robinson broke baseball's color barrier when he took to the field with the Brooklyn Dodgers on April 15, 1947. Robinson was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962. His number 42 was eventually retired across MLB in 1997.
Cricket continues to grow in popularity, and now young people in Brampton have a brand new place to indulge their passion for the sport. The cricket pitch at Turner Fenton Secondary School officially opened today. The full-size, fully lit field is the result of a partnership between the city and the Peel District School Board. Officials say this joint-use amenity will give students a place to build skills and practice teamwork while playing the sport.
It's been beautiful to see how cricket is booming in our community. Whether it is the new fields, the new amenities, there's no city that better reflects the passion and support for cricket than the city of Brampton.
The students will have priority access during the school day, but the field will also be available for community use outside of school hours. There are 20 cricket fields and one tape ball field at 15 locations in Brampton.
Fumbles are a common sight during football games, but they are a rare occurrence at ceremonies to honor championship teams. Take a look at this. Talk about an embarrassing moment for U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and in front of his alma mater. Now, this happened as Ohio State football team was honored at the White House. Now, when Vance tried to hoist the Buckeyes championship trophy, right there, the base separated from the top and crashed onto the stage. Now, the trophy was apparently undamaged, and there was no penalty flag thrown on the play.
Now more than ever, Canadians need to know where our leaders stand. CTV News keeps you informed on the issues that hit home. This election, connect to Canada's most trusted news source, CTV News, now more than ever.
It's been said if you can blow out all your birthday candles in one breath, your wish will come true.
But a Vancouver Island woman says her wish didn't come true until she stopped wishing. CTV's Adam Sawatsky has details of a love story nearly a half-century in the making.
Oh, she was just so full of life.
As Karen Harrison looks back at pictures from her past, she recalls her perennial birthday wish.
I would blow out the candles and I'd wish for the same thing. I just need to find the love of my life.
It happened every year from the age of 6 until the day she turned 50, when she decided to stop wishing.
I think I had started to lose hope.
Well, Karen was grateful to have finally found comfort in the life she'd created for herself.
To me, it was a bit of sadness around it.
But then, a month later, Karen found herself looking through old yearbooks after receiving a friend request from an old classmate, John Evers.
You know, we were both always very shy, and I could never approach her.
John and Karen were in grade 1 through grade 12 together, and never really friends, until decades later, Facebook suggested otherwise.
I said, "Do you remember me?" And she said, "Of course." It was, you know, a little heart skipped a beat.
The connection was instant, the conversation effortless, and despite living provinces apart, Karen and John couldn't have felt closer, until, a couple months later, they finally met again. In person.
She walked in the room and it was
like, oh, my soul has finally found its other half.
I found someone who understood me.
These are happy tears.
Oh, yeah.
Over the next year, they moved to the same city. John proposed, Karen said yes, and then they both said, I do, 47 years after they first met.
I feel so grateful to John that he found me, because he was my dream come true.
Thanks to the reality of both committing to being fearlessly authentic and unconditionally loving.
She is my best friend.
I love him with everything I have.
And if you ask why, despite living 2 blocks from each other as kids and attending the same school for so long, why it took almost 50 years to find each other, they'll tell you that it can take time to learn what love isn't before appreciating what it truly is.
Hold on to hope, because when it's right, it's right.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, North Cowichan.
Always believe in love.
How beautiful. That's lovely. And on that note, let's talk about the rain. I don't know.
Some people love it.
Yeah.
If you're maybe a farmer out there, you have a garden that needs a little bit of extra love and TLC, the rain is helpful. The issue today is going to be the wind. If you have any kind of decorations up maybe ahead of Easter, or maybe you're starting to put out some of your potted plants, just be careful as you head into this afternoon and tomorrow, quite frankly, because of how gusty it is going to be. We're not looking at any alerts in place just yet, but just keep that in the back of your mind. We saw scattered showers to kind of bring us through the late morning, early afternoon. We will see periods of rain off and on throughout the GTA, but nothing super organized. Right now, still sitting at 9 degrees here in the city, and as we make our way home tonight, there's that slight chance of a flurry, but likely just a whole lot of cloud cover. The good news is after the cool down tomorrow, the sun comes out on Thursday.
Not bad. Thank you, Jess. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Dowder. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Take care.